Yes.
VIGANO, schismatic.
Yes.
Called out by the Magisterium for this. And yet you've got podcasters who are either casting doubt on that or who are congratulating.
Hello everyone, I'm Joseph Dinesh, a Catholic commentator from Sydney, Australia. In this video, we will be discussing the recent controversy involving Bishop Vigano, who has been placed on trial by the Magisterium of the Catholic Church for making schismatic statements against Pope Francis and the Second Vatican Council. As with any issue in the church, there are always two sides, and my goal is to examine both and determine what a sensible Catholic should do in this complex situation. To aid in this discussion, I have included a clip from the Pints with Aquinas channel where Matt Fradd and Father Louis discuss this very issue, offering insightful points that we can learn from. So let's get started. In the first clip, Father Louis discusses how some traditional Catholic groups view certain popular Catholic podcasts as a new form of magisterium, relying on their judgment to determine what is right and wrong in the Catholic world. Matt Fradd agrees, noting that this phenomenon is particularly evident in the case of Bishop Vigano. Let's listen to what they have to say.
One thing that I've noticed happening is that, especially in some of the podcast space in America, is that some people will cling to podcasters as the new magisterium.
Yep.
If they don't say it, then it's not right. If they oppose it, then it's wrong. That is so dangerous.
We're
I don't care
seeing
who
this
does
with
it.
VIGANO.
Yes.
VIGANO, schismatic.
Yes.
Called out by the Magisterium for this. And yet you've got podcasters who are either casting doubt on that or who are congratulating VIGANO.
Vigano himself said it's a badge of honor to be called a schismatic by the Magisterium. How could that be ever good? And it's like, and then people are saying, well, you know, we have to take things into context. What context? There was nothing that can justify schism from the Church of Jesus Christ. Nothing can justify that.
Just to clarify, in Catholic terminology, a schism is the formal separation or division within the Catholic Church, specifically the refusal to submit to the Pope or to remain in communion with the members of the Church who are in communion with him. And that is exactly the charge brought against Bishop Vigano. According to the decree of citation sent by Vatican, he is accused of making public statements resulting in a denial of the elements necessary to maintain communion with the Catholic Church. First, denial of the legitimacy of Pope Francis, breaking of communion with him, and the rejection of the Second Vatican Council. What's more shocking is, in response to this citation, Archbishop Vigano tweeted that he considered the accusations against him a honor. So I ask my fellow Catholics who are taking the side of Bishop Vigano, do you really want to support a bishop who is openly schismatic and questions essential elements of the Catholic faith, such as the legitimacy of the present Pope and the Second Vatican Council? If that is the case, what's the difference between you and a Protestant? In the second clip, Matt Fradd emphasizes that while it's unacceptable for Catholics to endorse schism due to some confusion or misconduct among certain Catholic leaders, it is equally unacceptable to ignore the existing issues and pretend everything is flawless. In short, he's advocating for a both-and approach. Both acknowledge the challenges and complexities within the Church, while at the same time affirming the papacy and the Second Vatican Council. Let's listen to his viewpoint.
Something is wrong there.
So I like that. So that's unhelpful. I agree with you. But I think the opposite, you agree with me, is also unhelpful, where it's like, everything is fine. It's like, clearly there are dysfunctions. We can all see them. So It feels like there's got to be some middle path where you're like, no, things aren't fine. There are confusion things. We do have a sinful Pope. We have a sinful Matt Fradd. We have sinful bishops. We have sinful you, whoever's watching this. Look at the wretch you are, not you, the person watching. Well, you too, me too.
I'm a wretch.
And it's like, so to deny it is obviously not a good idea
either. We should never deny it.
Yeah.
Just like we shouldn't deny, for example, the sins that have been committed in the name of the church.
So as Matt Fradd explains, it is acceptable to feel anger towards church officials, whether they are bishops or cardinals or even the Pope. It is also acceptable to publicly address and condemn the abuses, confusions, and misconduct by clergy and demand accountability. Furthermore, it's absolutely acceptable to write articles or create videos clarifying the Catholic Church teachings. However, we must avoid at all costs supporting schism or undermining the fundamental tenets of the Catholic faith. In the last clip, Matt Fradd makes a thought-provoking observation that applies not only to Bishop Vigano's case, but also to other situations in life. He notes that some have questioned the fairness of Vigano's trial based on the fact that individuals who have committed more serious offenses have not faced similar scrutiny. So Matt Fradd asks this question: how can you justify Bishop Vigano's schismatic statements based on the actions of others? These are distinct and separate matters that should not be conflated. Let's listen to what he has to say.
One point that I think some complaints people have is, okay, this is being done to Vigano. I would say Vigano did it to himself, if you deny that.
I agree.
But what about these other people who don't seem to be called on the carpet?
Sure.
Fine. Great. That's a great objection. But that's not an objection to why Vigano is a schismatic.
I agree completely.
Yeah.
And
so you can raise that flag. Fair enough. And
I agree.
You can bring that to your bishop. You can
exactly
say it respectfully.
Yes. You could even write to the Vatican.
Write to the Vatican.
Make your voice known.
Yep.
Right.
I would like to explain this with an analogy. Imagine a classroom where students are being graded on their behavior. One student, let's call him Tom, is often disruptive and disrespectful to the teacher. Another student, Sarah, notices this and points out there are other students who have been even more disruptive but haven't been reprimanded. Sarah suggests that since those students haven't been punished, Tom shouldn't be either. However, the teacher explains that each student's behavior is evaluated individually. Just because some student hasn't been disciplined for worse behavior does not excuse Tom's actions. Tom is accountable for his behavior regardless of what others have or haven't done. So in the same way, Matt Fradd emphasizes that Bishop Vigano should be held accountable for his statements regardless of whether others have been held accountable for worse actions. Each individual's accountability stands on his own merits and shouldn't be justified or excused by comparing it to others' actions. In conclusion, I would like to say, destroying unity and bringing about division is always the work of the devil, and we should resist it at all costs. As Bishop Barron says, we have to fight for the church, not against the church. I hope this video was helpful. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. God bless you.